Here's the issue with Sunday here. He's criticizing Connor for working with people he doesn't share 100% of his beliefs with. That's what people have to do to work in politics. Yeah, of course. Like, you're never going to work with anybody who believes in 100% the same things as you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think as an example, if y'all wanted me to crow about the things that are actually productive, obviously a lot of people have turned up their noses that since
why isn't my TTS working? This is obnoxious. And Sunday is wrong here because one, he has no credibility, so he has no leg to stand on. Two, his going after people who work together shows how he will never encourage positive discussions with others.
But another example is that a lot of the PV reps have been pushing phone banking, and there was some specific thing. I think they're probably going to release the information on it, but they logged like 120 or 200, I forget the exact number, shifts of phone banking that translated into roughly 100,000 phone banking calls that actually was within the margin of error for that election.
That's been a consistent critique. Okay, that's the first time I've heard that one. I was in the thick of this shit in the beginning, and I'm here. Has Origin been considering my generous offer? Yes. So Origin said that he couldn't get his stuff to work, so he sent $100 to Mantis, and then Mantis sent the $100 to me, and
Mantis tipped $100. Sunday sucks, but he can keep doing his autistic streams. #Tom is fair.
There you go. So thank you, President Sunday, for getting me $100 for absolutely nothing. If anybody wasn't here, President Sunday told Origin that if he sent me $100, President Sunday said that if Origin sent me $100, that he wouldn't stream on Twitch for a year. Which, just FYI, for those of you who don't know, President Sunday doesn't stream on Twitch ever. So it's just free $100. Appreciate it. What are you the origin of?
Logos. That's how you say it.
Oh, okay. Logos. So you're the origin of logic?
That's not what logos means technically. It's a very complicated history.
Okay.
What now?
I thought it was. I thought that what's the other one is rhetoric, and then logos is logic.
You're thinking of like ethos and pathos.
Yes,
like
ethos and pathos. That is what I'm thinking of. You're right. My bad.
Yeah, the Aristotelian logic. But no, that's not necessarily what origin of logos is referring to, and logos itself is a very complicated concept. But anyway, that's something that we can't really get into. It'd be too complicated. But I just wanted to come in and ask you one quick thing.
That's fair enough. I guess, if I watched my stream, I would think I wasn't smart enough too. What did you want to get into?
Well, first of all, it's not that whatsoever. It's just I don't think you're smart enough. It's just something that you would have to do some research into beforehand. But anyway, is Sunday still in the chat being a doofus at the moment?
I would say he might still be in the chat, but even if he's not, he's definitely still being a doofus.
All right. Well, I want you to hold him to the fire on this one. I want you to make sure he answers the question of how and when he became a political scientist, because he calls himself a political scientist. He labels that on his YouTube, his Twitter. He likes to go around saying that, but I don't think he's ever provided the credentials to prove that. So I want to see if he can explain himself there.
I mean, it did. So President Sunday, it is true that people said that you do call yourself a political scientist, and we did look it up, and it is a credentialed degree, and it does need more than just a bachelor's.
Yeah, you need at least a master's, and you need to actually have done analysis work with fellow researchers, and you had to actually have some history with that.
And yes, we did check Canada.
Money on it. If I was a betting man, I would bet a good amount of money that you've done neither of those things, and you probably never will. So I just want to know if you could actually provide that.
Sorry, I was trying to pull this up, guys. Oh, is it President Run Day again?
Is he going to answer in the chat?
Uh-oh. I don't know.
If he doesn't answer, it's fine, because we all know why he's not going to answer, because he's a little bitch and he's a liar and a fraud. So it's funny that he likes to go after people's careers and professions and reputations, saying that they lie about their credentials, but he calls himself a political scientist, even though you actually have to attain.
He said that's only to be employed by the government as one. Political scientist pre-exists Canada and is like calling myself a philosopher.
I'm going to say that's bullshit.
I don't know if that's true, but that is what I said with the fucking linguist shit. And I could have sworn you jumped on that bandwagon saying that I was lying about that shit, but maybe not. I could be misremembering it. But yeah, that's what I said. I'm like, you could literally just speak more than one language and call yourself a philosopher. Me actually working in linguistics is still more than that. But okay,
Wait, what was the first part he said? Something about a government role or something?
He said that was only for a government position, but I could have sworn. Let's see. Canada.
You know what I'm gonna do, actually, now that if that's what he's actually gonna stick on, I'm gonna ask my political scientist friend, who actually is one, if that's gonna stick, and we'll see how that lands.
Because I know in the United States they didn't say for okay, yeah, you jump in to the waiting room, I will pull you in. But when I looked at the United States one, it wasn't just for government.
Oh God, you're actually gonna bring his dumbass in here?
Well, I don't know how to hold somebody's feet to the fire that can just disappear from chat whenever. But if they're on here, then
I don't know. If he has some actual evidence, like actual proof that he's actually doing stuff like that, that would be interesting.
Well, I don't even know about that, because I think he's already said that he has a bachelor's, and
that doesn't matter. Just having a bachelor's does not make you a political scientist.
That's what I'm saying. But I suppose, okay. To be clear, I'm giving my personal opinion. If somebody did work, if they did real work as a political scientist, and I don't mean like on stream, but like they actually held a position as a political scientist somewhere, then I would say that, yeah, that would be good enough, regardless of whether or not they had a higher degree.
Nah, that's actually not how it would work.
Sunday.
I do.
So you do have a bachelor's in political science, right?
I do. That doesn't really matter, though.
Okay, but you say that you did work in poli-sci?
Did work in poli-sci? I've never been employed as a political scientist, no.
Okay. So then what is it that you think makes the difference here?
Well, the difference would be that I do political science as an activity. So it's sort of like someone who does philosophy as an activity. Now, if you want to be employed as a teacher of philosophy, there's probably going to be some credentialed requirements to do so. But to simply say that I engage in political science as an activity, there's no credential requirement for that. Political science has long existed, and you have the credential requirements in order to teach as one. If I wanted to work for the government, like say I wanted to apply to a post at a high school or a university or something and call myself a political scientist, I'd have to have an MA or something like that for it. But I'm not citing political scientist as a credential. I'm citing political scientist as a thing that I do.
Yeah, as an experience. I understand that, but it does say,
what you will
like,
never
what
see me say is, what you will never hear me say is, I know what I'm talking about because I'm a political scientist. I say I'm a political scientist because I do political science content and I talk about that. So
yeah, you're saying that you wouldn't claim yourself as an authority, but you would claim it as an experience.
How so?
I mean,
to me, to be honest with you, I think actually calling myself a political scientist probably sends up a red flag that I don't know what I'm talking about. Political science is a terrible field.
That's not wrong.
Even if that is true, I'm not going to say if that's true or not because I'm not in that field, so I'd never researched into it. But that's a bit odd that you would label yourself as I'm a political scientist on literally everything you do. I mean, I have a bachelor's in English. I'm not going to go around saying I'm an English teacher, or I'm a professor, or I am an expert in English.
I mean, that would be very embarrassing, to be honest with you. But
well, okay,
if,
because I'm not
what you're
going to lie
trying, if
about
what
my
you're,
credentials.
if what you're trying to get at is that there is some kind of parity between my calling myself a political scientist and Kyla calling herself a psychometrist, and then claiming that that is a degree that she doesn't have, like a master's degree or an equivalent, and so on and so forth, and then saying on the basis of that she's an expert and you should defer to her, I'm going to have to flatly disagree with you. Me describing myself as a political scientist and not using that as a credential is an entirely different thing from claiming a credential that someone doesn't have in a health related field and then claiming expertise on the basis of that.
I think you're playing a slippery slope right here, and it's not really even that clear cut. And I don't even call Kyla an expert. I would never even address her like that.
Well,
but that was
Kyla
also a bit of a diversion. What?
Kyla calls Kyla an expert origin. Who cares what you think?
Even if she does, I'm not going. I'm gonna have to base it on actual evidence that I see, and also what you said before. Hold on 1 second. Wait, hold on.
Hang on.
I want to finish what I'm saying because
yeah, but this is important.
Every time, no, hold on. I'm gonna finish what I'm saying. You always interrupt. But anyway, what you said was that Kyla was over here. Well, actually, what'd you say again? Because you're interrupting me. You actually made me lose my train of thought. Repeat what you said.
Well, you can just keep on going with what you were saying.
He said that Kyla claims to be an expert. He does not claim to be an expert.
No, he also said, now I remember, he said that Kyla pretends that she had a degree of psychometrics, even though that was not the original case that you made against her. The original case you made against her was that she was saying psychometry, but then you went to this Wikipedia page of it being like psychometry is this woo-woo thing, and that was your original claim, so don't try to pivot. That was your original claim.
You're confused.
No, I'm not confused whatsoever.
But you're very confused. I can.
No, not really, Sunday.
No, quite actually. See, the reason why I pointed out that psychometry is not the technically correct word is because that means that she didn't get that term from the document of her degree, because she doesn't have one. She doesn't have a document that says psychometry on it.
Well, hold on. Wait, you did say you did show in the video that in the video that psychometry was a woo-woo thing. In the
psychometry
video,
is a woo-woo thing.
However, you pulled up the Wikipedia and showed it as
Kyla is correct because of how similar the words are, and because grammatically it seems to work. You could say like psychometry in the same breath as saying psychometrics or something of that sort, because they sound more or less the same, and people do in fact use the words interchangeably. But what you will not find is a document, certainly not one in Canada, saying this is a master's in psychometry. First of all, because you actually can't get one in Canada, but secondly, because that wouldn't actually be the correct term. So the reason I would point that out is to sort of nudge a little bit, kind of highlight that, hey, when she's, calling herself these things, she's not doing so on the basis of an actual piece of paper that she has. She's being a little fast and loose. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think she admitted that at least the degree part, that she was playing fast and loose by saying that she had the degree because she had like a graduate.
Well, she flat out said that she had a graduate degree, which is wrong.
Hey, Tom, can we actually
that's what I'm saying. With the degree part, I think she said that she agreed that it was fast and loose, but she said afterwards that she had an equivalent to it, and so that's why she was playing fast and loose.
That's also incorrect. She doesn't have.
Tom, can we actually address the heart of the issue here, because he's pivoting all the way to Kyla again? Because
what's the heart of the issue?
Well, if that's what we're making an equivalent to, if that's the equivocation.
No, hang on, Origin, you got me here. What's the heart of the issue?
The heart of the issue was I came on to ask you about where you got your credentials to be known as a political scientist. And now that you came on to explain that, instead of actually kind of getting in more into arguments with us about that, you want to pivot to Kyla. Who gives a fuck about Kyla right now? In your example that you said, I'm just doing an activity. I'm a political science because I'm into theory. Bullshit, bitch. If you don't have a master's in this and you actually have some research and you haven't actually done any field work in this, you're not a political scientist.
Hey, Origin, you
can play fast and loose all you want, but you're full of shit.
Yeah, Origin, you're a fan of Plato and Aristotle, right?
Yes, I am. I read them.
Yeah, you do. You're very smart. Who began political science?
It was Plato, arguably.
Okay. Did he have a master's in political science?
No, but this is again
But
a
he was
complete
yet a political
diversion.
scientist, yes? What
But
about
this is the diversion, dude. This is you're thinking
no,
about
no,
this in
it's
a
not a diversion.
no. Yes,
I'll
it
give you
is.
someone
Let me
more modern.
explain how it's
No,
actually a
walk with
diversion.
me walk with me a little bit. I'll give you.
Fine.
I'll give you a more modern case. Carl Schmitt. Did he have a master's in political science?
I'm actually not sure on that case. I haven't researched much into him, so I can't say.
I'm actually not sure off the top of my head. I'm going to double check. Let me see here. If I go into his education, academic career. Here we go. I actually don't think they did those in Germany at the time. It was something else. Yeah, they wouldn't have done it in Germany at the time because it's American political science is a 20th century thing.
May I ask you a question? May I ask you a question then?
Go for it. Yeah.
Okay, so you wanted to ask me if Plato is considered a political scientist, even though if you and I should both know this at least. I hope we both know this. That back then they didn't have the concept of political scientists in the way of we have degrees here in the 21st century in Western civilization.
And
we have to have modern standards.
Well, the notion of episteme politikon is very old. We actually get the term from the Greek. It's a translation.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the etymology of where it comes from. I'm talking about the modern usage on how we actually set up, how we become experts in a field, or how we earn degrees to be considered something.
Yeah, the Canadian government's regulations on who can teach political science are not definitive for who is considered a political scientist in the West. So I don't know where you're getting that notion from.
Well, I'm getting this because you brought up the example of that Plato was considered the first political scientist, so therefore he was a political scientist. So now you're trying to conflate this, that you don't actually have to have a degree.
What I'm pointing out. Well, no, what I'm pointing.
Let me finish this before you let me finish this. So you were trying to make a deflection. You're trying to make an ambiguity here that, well, because Plato was a political scientist and they didn't have degrees back then just doing the activity of doing into political theory, it makes you a political scientist, and that's bullshit.
Well, it's not actually. What I'm pointing out is that political scientist as a designator.
Oh, I can be a political scientist?
Beg your pardon?
So I can call myself a political scientist in a few days or in a few weeks or months?
I mean, you could call yourself one right now. I just don't think it'd be a very good one.
Oh, so your standard for a political scientist is pretty much nothing. Okay, that's
so you'll look here. Tom's actually got on the screen here. So professional philosophers and ethicists typically have graduate degrees in philosophy or at least related field, but you would not, for example, consider someone to be a fraud if they call themselves a philosopher who didn't have a graduate degree. There are, in fact, many people who write for philosophical journals that don't have graduate degrees in philosophy.
You say that one more time. I didn't hear the last part you said.
I said there are people in all sorts of fields, for example, who will write in the fields of philosophy or even political science or so on and so forth, and they don't have graduate degrees in those fields, yet they are considered such.
And you're saying philosophy, right?
Well, it's just one example. When you're dealing with the liberal arts, like the compartmentalization of the liberal arts is relatively recent. These things all used to be combined. Political science used to be combined with philosophy, political economy, et cetera, et cetera.
I understand this. But we're talking about a long time ago. I'm trying to keep us
not that long
today.
Ago, actually. We're talking about the last
Sunday.
Century.
We're talking about now. I'm not talking about a few centuries ago or one century ago.
Right now, there's also not a problem with calling yourself a political scientist. Now, if I said I was a credentialed political scientist, you'd have an issue. If I was using political scientist as a credential and I was saying on the basis of being a political scientist, you have to listen to me, that would be the case, but I've never done so. I challenge you to find a single case where I've done so.
I don't even think I need to make that case. I think the fact that you're just calling yourself a political scientist without even having the basic credentials to actually be considered that is a bit sneaky.
You don't require credentials to be a political scientist. You can
again,
never go to university
now,
to be a political scientist.
You do now, again. They're actually, my gosh,
no,
it's like I'm talking to someone who's not even listening or who's just trying to make
in order to be employed by the government, in order to be employed by the Canadian government as a political scientist, you have to have a master's or a doctoral degree.
And again, you don't have either. So
No, but I'm not.
you
I
don't
don't
call
claim to be
yourself one.
employed as a. I don't claim to be employed as a political scientist.
But you call yourself a political scientist,
Yeah.
dude. Just own it, dude. Just admit that you shouldn't be calling yourself that. Just call yourself like to actually this could be better for you. And this is actually me trying to help you out here a little bit better, even though
Mhm.
I don't know why I'm doing this. Instead of calling yourself a political scientist, why don't you just call yourself I'm a thinker. I'm someone who likes to delve into political issues. I take this stuff seriously. You don't have to just call yourself a political scientist because that may actually confuse some people who don't know any better. It's like, huh, this guy actually has the expertise. He probably has gone to, he may have went to get a graduate degree and he probably knows his shit. So it seems a little disingenuous that you would call yourself that, but now you're trying to get all nuanced now, but it doesn't make any difference. Like we know what it is. We have to be a political scientist. And I actually have a political scientist friend who would actually probably challenge you on this.
So do I. I've had political science professors on my channel, as a matter of fact.
Sure, then we can probably talk with them as well about this.
Well, they'd probably be annoyed that I'm calling myself a political scientist because they're senior to me by several decades, and that's always laughable.
Why would they be annoyed?
But
Why would they be annoyed,
there's
though?
no ethical issue whatsoever with calling myself a political scientist.
But why would they be annoyed with that? If there's no ethical
Why would
issue,
they
why
be
would they be
annoyed?
annoyed?
Well, because it's sort of like if you've been studying philosophy for like 50 years, and you've got a person just out of their undergrad, maybe 5 years out, and they're calling themselves a philosopher. It's a little bit funny, right?
Then why do it?
You're gonna laugh at them because they're like, oh, yeah.
Then
sure
why
you are.
do it?
What do you mean why do it?
Okay, you just gave a different example. You just said that let's say like there's
Because
a
I
philosopher.
do content concerned with political science. That's the thing that I do.
That's fine.
That's
And
how I
look,
got
that
my
is
start.
that's totally
So the
fine.
activity I engage in is political science. So I call myself.
When was
a
the last
political
time you
scientist
actually
because that's
did a
what I do.
political scientist essay, by the way?
It's been a little bit, like a year, I think.
Why so long?
Oh, because I've been reading a lot of stuff.
Are you sure it's because of that?
Oh, I'm very sure it's because of that. It's kind of wrecked my whole flow because a lot of the stuff I sort of presumed as the bedrock of what I do, sort of like the intellectual foundation of what I do, has been kind of undermined by the stuff I've been reading. So I'm upgrading a lot.
Are you sure you haven't just been spending your time obsessing over Brianna Wu and other bullshit drama that means literally nothing in the grand scheme of things?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've been doing quite a bit more than that, actually. This is one of the reasons why I'm talking about the books that I am reading constantly on streams. One of the reasons why I do readings of political science and philosophy and theory texts on stream fairly on the regular. This is why I'm getting through like hundreds of pages of Bergson and Bataille one at the moment. So yeah, no, I do quite a bit. If you'll notice, my streams are actually fairly on the short side. I spend most of my time reading otherwise.
Well, if that is the case, why not just focus on that? Why not ignore the drama bullshit? Because it seems like, because I remember back when I used to be in your community, you said that you had a lot of health issues and you had sleeping issues. I don't know. This is just me guessing. Okay, maybe I'm totally wrong, but maybe you can help me out on this. I'm guessing that maybe you focusing on this drama bullshit and obsessing over people's lives is probably taking a toll on your mental health.
I'm not obsessing over people's lives. No, it's taking a toll on my mental health as I'm staying up till like 3 a.m. trying to read paragraphs that my eyes are tired to look at. I don't obsess over these people. I cover them for
and all the red lines for the Woo stuff.
A couple hours on what's that?
And all the red string from the Woo stuff. You weren't here earlier. Never mind.
There's red string.
I forgot you left and
What the heck are you talking about, Tom?
We were talking about earlier. He asked if I was offered Woo Bucks, and when I said yes, he just disappeared from chat. And then I asked him a question, and he wasn't there. And so then I was like, "Oh, he heard that I got offered Woo Bucks, and he disappeared. He's probably typing furiously." And people said, "Yeah, he's got red string all over."
You said you didn't want to take him. I was just curious whether it was actually on offer for you. I have no idea who was offered that. It doesn't really matter, and it would have been PV Bucks anyways. It wouldn't have been from Woo. I don't obsess over these people at all. Origin, you're mistaken. I cover them like anybody else does. Like Tom's covering a conversation between me and Counterpoints here. Is he obsessed with me? No, I'm pretty sure it's just that's how his channel runs. He
oh really?
Things.
You mean to tell me that if I were to look at all of Tom's content, I would see him talk about Brianna Wu every 5 minutes,
He's actually
every
got
other
quite a few
day,
streams
constantly?
covering me.
Say it again?
I am
He's got quite a
obsessed
few
with you,
streams
though.
covering me.
From who?
From who? What do you mean from who?
He's saying I
I-
cover him. President Sunday is saying I have a lot of streams covering him.
Yeah, he has videos covering me all over.
Oh, when was that, Tom? I actually haven't been watching you much lately.
I think this is the first time in a couple months that I've covered
Origin,
him.
how many?
A couple of months. There you go. But
Origin,
how long
how
have you
many-
been watching Wu for the past year and a half, actually?
Are you saying I've been watching Wu for the past year?
Yes, Sunday. I'm talking to
Yeah,
you.
because
How much have you been
I
covering
couldn't
Wu?
tell. How much I've been here and there, fairly frequently. She's been good source of content for a little bit.
What do you mean by that? Good source of
I mean,
content.
she's a deeply unlikable person who's easy to poke holes in, and it's good content. And I don't like her, so it makes it extra easy.
Why focus on people you don't like who are not even like? Why her though?
Why her? Why I
Yes.
Well, because sometimes she makes herself available. So, for example, the conversation with Counterpoints and Queeman was a shit show.
I mean, it's going to be a shit show regardless. You have Queeman with anybody, and Brianna Wu, Wu's not really good with
No, I think it
addressing
was
people.
what made this one particularly funny was that she was muting him after he would speak for a few seconds and was just unable to respond to anything.
Well, that's fine. I
She was
actually,
insecure.
if I were her, like I've said that when people do debates or panels, and if people can't help but interrupt every 5 seconds, if I was a moderator, I would mute everybody every time they did that because I think that shit is annoying. Let
Yeah,
people
but I mean,
actually
there's
finish
a
a
reason.
thought.
There's a reason why you don't do this, Origin. Like it takes a certain personality to be able to kind of stomach this kind of thing and do it well, and it's not for everybody. It's stressful.
Well, I don't do it because it's not my career and it's not something I'm going to make my career. I'm just saying if I did do it, that's what I would do.
I don't know. I see you in a lot of drama channels just constantly popping off everywhere. I think you're actually pretty invested.
Oh yeah, I've told many times that I'm invested in the case that every time I see you pop up making more bullshit allegations and constantly attacking people for no reason and trying to ruin reputations over bullshit evidence.
What bullshit allegations I've been making lately, Origin?
We already know, Sunday. We don't need to go over this, buddy.
Well, I am just curious
like,
though. Can you
like the fact that you are acting like, huh? What is this? Like, what do you mean? Like, you're curious. Like, dude, we're not stupid.
What do you mean is a bullshit allegation? What are you referring to specifically, Origin?
Tom, is he this stupid?
It's a simple question, Origin. Do you know? Can you name one?
Say it again. Name one what?
Can you name one allegation?
You went over one earlier, buddy. Like, did you forget it?
Yes. Help me recollect.
I doubt it. I doubt it.
Okay. Anyways, in answer to your question,
Sunday.
Origin, if you'll look on Tom's screen right now, that's kind of helpful. You'll notice that first word. Can you read that for me?
I'm not reading his screen because
Can I
the
read
other
it for you?
thing.
Well, I'll read it
Sure.
for you,
I mean,
yeah.
if you
All right.
can, but you're going to be wasting your breath because it's not relevant to what we were talking about.
It is a little bit. So just listen for 1 sec. It's very short. Often, political scientists need a master's degree in political science, public administration, or a related field. Hear that?
Yeah, I did. And again,
did you hear that?
Totally.
Did you hear that first word?
Yes, often.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
It means most of the time.
What does most of the time mean?
Dipshit, I know what you and I both know what that means. You don't need to keep asking me to
spell it out
cover
for
that.
me.
Means not all the time.
Means not all the time. Thank you. Now, if by the way I wanted to work for the Canadian government as a political scientist, it would basically be all the time unless I got some kind of special permission for it, which I have no idea if that's physically possible. But
Still, you shouldn't call yourself a political scientist.
I'm going to continue to because I'm not worthy of a higher title yet.
No, you shouldn't call yourself that because it's just not true.
I actually prefer political theorist most of the time because I have a deep issue with political science. I think political science is a deeply fraught field. I think it's kind of a dead-end field, as a matter of fact.
You could just call yourself a thinker. I mean, that right there is actually pretty neutral, and it seems pretty fine. I mean, everybody
Yeah, but
thinks.
I don't think very much. That's how you do political science.
Well, I mean, thanks for, I guess, enlightening us for the truth there.
Oh, you're welcome. Origin, you have an issue with me being obsessed with people. Quite a lot of people, in fact. You had a list earlier. One wonders how I have the time, but I do notice you are constantly talking about me to the point where it's a
And
little
I've already
weird.
explained this. I already
And
explained
you're
this.
spending money on it as well. You're losing money literally just to go to tiny. I think we have 74 concurrents at the moment. Tiny streams just to rage about me. And I do have to wonder, why am I so important in your life?
Well, first of all, it's a few bucks for one streamer, so I mean that's not like $1 million or
Well, you
so.
spent
I can
about
understand.
140. You spent about 120, $40 tonight. No,
No.
no.
What?
Did you not give Mattis $100?
Oh, he didn't actually
Not
give her
what?
$100. I was joking about that. Sorry.
Oh, you
That
were
was a
joking.
joke.
Oh, that's too bad. I was all excited.
Well, I would never do that because you asked me to do it. So there's that issue. So and second issue,
Yeah, you're too smart
I've
for me.
explained many times why I feel the need to call you out whenever I see your name pop up in any space because you're a dangerous force in these spaces. You're a dishonest liar. You will go after people's reputations, and you seem to have no ethical principles whatsoever. You will go after them for the pettiest of reasons, and we all know this. Like, it's not like I need to come in here and actually explain everything of what you've done. Like, we see your videos, we watch them, we've seen everything you've done, and you'll continue to do it. So you coming in here is pretty much a waste of your time ultimately, because not
Well, it
just a
sounds like
waste
it's
of
more
my
a waste
time.
of sounds like it's more a waste of your time. See, I make money doing this. This helps me. I don't know what you're
Exactly,
doing,
and there you go. That's
but
also why
I
this is ultimately a
do.
scam, because you make money doing this, which is ultimately, you call yourself a political scientist, even though you're trying to get an air of superiority over people, but
Oh
ultimately
God, no.
you're
If
just
anybody calls
making
themselves a
money.
political scientist, like you should
You
beware.
can
They
keep
have
falling. You can keep falling on that little, like, oh, I'm not really. No, you can stop falling on that because you're not fooling
Oh,
anybody.
I've been doing that long in
Because
advance of this conversation. Don't worry. But
you always
what I was
pretend you're better than everybody, and now you're just like, oh, well, actually, it's not really that big. It's like, we see your behavior, dipshit. We
I don't
don't
know. Well,
need to fucking hear you.
there's two responses to that right off the bat. The first one is, I'm not pretending, but the second one is, political scientist is once again just a description of an activity I started my channel doing. I don't use it as a credential. In fact, I say very frequently and have very frequently in the past. Yeah, this is not me saying I'm an expert. This is actually kind of saying the opposite. This is just an activity that I do as part of my research and as part of my like content.
Well, I will guarantee you this. I'm not as obsessed with you as you think I am, because if I was, I would probably scour every single video you've ever made and every single stream you've ever done to look for those. So I'm not doing that whatsoever. So
That'd be very weird. But I can't help but notice though, Origin, that you changed your wording a little bit. See, you just mentioned that I go after people's reputations, but earlier in the chat you were saying I go after people's personal lives. Can you elaborate?
you already. How much longer do you want to continue this conversation, by the
Oh,
way?
I've
Just
got all night.
curious.
But I am
Well,
curious.
I
I am
actually
curious. So
don't. So
you did say I go after people's personal lives, and I would like to know what you were referring to.
I mean,
Whose
Tom,
personal life have I gone into?
is he really this stupid, Tom?
Well,
Is he
can you
really
answer
this
the question?
retarded?
I
Or
don't
are
know why
you
you're
Origin?
asking me. Yeah, I don't know.
Can you answer the question, Origin? Are you capable of answering the question?
You might be.
I'm capable, yeah, but it's just funny that you're asking me that question as if you have no idea. Like, what as if
But I
you are
mean,
just completely
I'm not
innocent.
actually. I'm not convinced that you have any idea. Can you convince me?
The fact that you think you're very convincing in this is
Whose
really
personal
not
life?
working, dude.
Who's name one person whose personal life I've gone into? This should be easy. Name one.
Tom, I mean, not Tom, Sunday, I'm not playing your game, dude. We all know we already know these answers.
Tom, do you know
Asking
the
you
answer?
to.
What?
See, Tom doesn't seem to know the answer. Origin. Whose personal life have I dug into? Simple question. You made an accusation. You should be able to substantiate this much.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get a little caught up on personal life because I think a lot of people would say that like going and emailing.
Oh, I
Kyla's
invite Origin to use
professors
whatever definition of personal life he
college
likes.
or pulling up a
I
Facebook
invite
that has her
Origin to
personal
use.
information.
Yeah, Tom, I get it.
or-
I get it. But I invite Origin to use whatever definition of personal life he wants. Whose personal life have I dug into, Origin? You're awfully quiet. Still with us?
Sunday. Are you like dumb? I already answered your question. I said I'm not going
so
into
dumb.
this with
Origin,
you.
Origin.
I'm
We've
not
already
going
established. I call
into
myself
this.
a political scientist. I'm so stupid. Please help me. Whose personal life have I dug into?
I mean, you did say we wanted to hold his feet to the fire. I'm here for it. We do. We
Well,
would
I
have
just hold
to.
his feet to the
My
fire.
feet are cold. I'm chilly here, Origin. Let's turn the heat up.
Hold on, Sunday. Tom, I said I wanted to ask him about his
You're called the
political
origin
science
of
degree, and that was
logos. Logos is speech, Origin. You're supposed to talk. You're like the terminus of logos. Is that what that would be?
Okay.
And one? And anything at all? One name. Make one up. You said there were lots, right? There's Wu, there's Kyla, there's Destiny, there's who's left? You mentioned Jenny Matrix for some reason. That's a weird one. Who am I obsessing over? Whose personal lives have I dug into? Or do you want to take that back?
I'm not taking anything back, but I already answered your question. I'm not playing the game with you.
But well, not really though. I would like to hear one name. Whose personal life have I dug into, Origin? Origin, Tom's in distress. Whose personal life was I digging into? whose personal life was I digging into, Origin? Come on. Distributist? Academic agent? Come on, you got to have one. People are watching. There's like 73 people here watching Origin. Come on, you got to have one. Chud Logic. Did I dig into Chud Logic's personal life? I texted him a very angry message when he was on vacation with his children, Origin. Did you know that? Brianna Wu? Did I dig into Brianna Wu's personal life?
I mean,
Here's what I want you
I'm
to
interested.
do. Okay?
I would.
I
like
want
to
you
know.
to here's Origin. Here's what I want you to do. Okay, just on a completely different key. I want you to go get an estimate for how much we need to fundraise to get you the therapy that you need because this is getting unwell. Okay, and we'll get you fixed. You have a good night, guys.
It's not good to use therapy as an own on people. Guys, you should go get therapy. Don't let him stigmatize people who go to therapy. It doesn't make you crazy or anything bad.
I mean, I answered him. I'm not playing that game with him where he's just like, "Oh, whose life was I going after? Name one." It's like we already know the answer. Like I don't know why he plays this stupid little game. Well, I understand why he does it. He wants easy views, and he thinks that this is all life is. Ultimately, it's just like let's make Origin look stupid, or let's make anybody look stupid. It's like I'm not answering not because I don't have an answer. It's because I'm not playing this stupid ass game he's doing. It's just like it's obvious. What a fucking idiot.
Fair enough.
And I said I wanted him to answer that question about the political scientist thing. I didn't say I want to come in here to roast everything about him. So that's a bit of a misspoke on your part, Tom.
I mean, I think we should have roasted everything about him. I'm here for it.
I mean, we already did. He pretty much just weaseled out on the political scientist thing. I mean, that's utter horseshit. I don't care what he says about, well, anyone can call themselves a political scientist. I'm like, if that is, like, if he's actually selling that on people right now, then I don't know how anyone can buy into his bullshit. Like, anybody. Like this is just absurd. Or
Yeah.
I can call myself a political scientist. It's like, no, I can't because I don't actually have the credentials or the history of actually doing that. He's just a fucking lying sack of shit who does this because this is how he makes people think he's more intelligent than he is.
Well, I think we killed it then. Well done.
Yeah, I don't play those stupid little games that he does because it's pointless.
Fair enough. Anything else?
Well, anyway, you have a good night, Tom. Yeah, I just wanted to roast him on that political science thing, and as we all witness, he pretty much just made up bullshit reasons like, oh my god, he can't say anyone's lying about credentials at this point, because if that's what he's really falling on, is that anyone can call themselves a philosopher, he would not buy that for a fucking second. If I on my channel, or if you on your channel, or if anybody else on their channel said that I'm a political scientist, but they didn't say that therefore I'm an expert, they just called themselves that, he would be on down their throat within a second, and you can bet that.
All right. Fair enough.
All right.
Well,
you have a good night, Tom.
Appreciate it, man. You too.